Welcome to Improve Your English Writing, video number 42, where I'll be discussing the apostrophe. And this is part one of two parts on the apostrophe. In this video, I'll be covering the subjects of possessive of a singular or plural word, which is Rule 37, and is it a possessive or descriptive word, Rule number 38. It's almost that's a rule of do I use an apostrophe here? That covers that rule. So if you'd like to get notifications for this series, please click subscribe. If you like the video or think others will find it useful, please click like and check out links to books and videos in the description, like a link to the companion volume there. So let's dive into it, into rule number 37. To form the possessive of a singular word, add apostrophe and s. To form the possessive of a plural word ending in s, which is the typical situation if you don't know, just add an apostrophe. But to form the possessive of a plural word not ending in s, which is not very typical, and there's basically two common words in which it happens to, you add an apostrophe and s. So let's look at some single word examples. So here you have the singular word defendant, and you need to make this into a possessive form. The defendant's testimony is pure perjury. So this is forming a possessive form. So, and it's singular. And how do we do that? Well, we add apostrophe s. Andrew borrowed his friend's car to get to work. So friend, we need to make this, this is possessive, and this possessive word is singular. So how do we form the possessive? Well, we add apostrophe s. In the business's profit dropped sharply last month. And I include this example because it may look wrong. Most people were not too sure what to do. This business is singular, and you're forming a possessive, and people don't really sort of like this double S apostrophe S. They may just put an apostrophe here, but the rule is, if this is correct, you could have two S's apostrophe S. The business's profit, so you would put apostrophe S. Even though to some people it may look wrong, this is correct. So what about plural words ending in s? Remember I said this is the typical case. So most plural words end in s. So if that's the case, then what you do is you just add an apostrophe. So here we have the profit did not meet investors' expectations. Here investors is plural. We're forming the possessive form. So we just add an apostrophe after the s. Another example is the email violated the employee's computer policy. Here employees is plural. We need to form a possessive form. So we just add an apostrophe after the s. What about words not ending in s? And this is not the typical situation. And to me, there's only really two words that this happens to. It's, if you don't know, it's women and children. Those are the two typical situations, if you don't know, or the two most common words that this happens to, or that you're trying to find the possessive form. So the next school board meeting will discuss children's educational needs. So since the plural, children is plural, is not doesn't end in s, then we add apostrophe s to form the possessive. So I don't think do I have another example? Oh, I do. There it is. I use both. Is women's intuition a myth or reality? So here we have a plural. We need to have a possessive form, so we add apostrophe s. These are the two common words this happens to. Normally for a plural, it's just put an apostrophe after the s. So then a nuance here about proper names. So except in the Chicago Manual of Style and in the MLA, many style guides allow proper names that are singular in meaning but end in S to form the possessive with only an apostrophe. So, normally if you have a singular word, you would add apostrophe S. But in the many of the style guides, if it's a proper name, singular meaning, you can just add an apostrophe. So let's look at an example. The example is scholars debate the size of Xerxes' invasion army. So here we have something singular. Xerxes is singular in meaning, ends in S, so many style guides just allow you to write this because the proper way, and this is the way Chicago Manual of Style or CMOS and the MLA would write this, just so you know, is Xerxes. You'd actually write apostrophe S here if you're doing Chicago Manual Style or MLA. So depending on what style manual you're using, that's just a nuance here. So, and if you don't want to worry about it, you can just always follow the rule of singular words add apostrophe S, which is what Chicago Manual Style and MLA are doing. But most style guides allow this exception right here. So let's some nuances for showing possession. To show separate possession, use in a possessive form with each item, with each person or item. So not really punctuation. Some of my nuances have more to do with some grammatical type things to the sentence. But to me, a lot of times people are looking up if you need an apostrophe, if they're not too sure, they'll look straight to the punctuation section. So that's why I include some of these minor grammar nuances in the punctuation section, because that's where most people would turn to. So what do I mean by that is, so to show separate possession, what does that mean? Well, but let's just look at the example. It'll make sense with the example. Rebecca's and Mason's drawing technique is similar. Now that means separate possession actually means each person has a separate and similar drawing technique. So separate possession. So they each have the drawing technique. It's possessive, but it's separate. So they both possess this, but they have separate possession. So use the possessive form with each word. So what this means is, so if you had to say each person had a similar but different drawing technique, Rebecca's and Mason's drawing technique is similar. To show joint or common possession, which may be, I don't want to say it's more of the common case, but I don't know, maybe my reading I seem to see this more often, but I don't know if it's actually more often statistically. But to show joint or common possession, use the possessive form with only the final item or person. So if you wrote Rebecca and Mason's large drawing is in the art exhibit, that would mean that they jointly produced the large drawing. So they have joint possession of the large drawing. So whenever you have joint or common possession, you just use the possessive with the final item. Rebecca and Mason's large drawing is in the art exhibit. So that's some nuances. Let's move on to rule number 38, which is I always call this put an apostrophe there. So to determine if a word is a possessive or a descriptive word, rewrite whatever's in question. Rewrite it as an of phrase and a for phrase. If the of phrase better matches the meaning, use an apostrophe. If the for phrase better matches the meaning, do not use an apostrophe. Like I said, I've said in other videos, sometimes seeing the examples after reading the rule really clarifies the rule. That way you can look at the example, go back, read the rule, and everything hopefully will be clarified. So what you want to do is that if you have a question if you should use an apostrophe or not, rewrite as an of or for phrase and see which one better matches. If it's the of phrase, use an apostrophe. If it's the for phrase, you don't. So let's look at some examples. Maybe you're not too sure. Is it the Reynolds car or the Reynolds car? Is it, this one right here has no apostrophe. This one over here has an apostrophe. Which one is correct? If you weren't too sure, hopefully now you see the difference. Here this one is a descriptive. This is actually descriptive. This one is actually a possessive. So you're not too sure. If someone said the Reynolds car, are you supposed to put an apostrophe there or not? Well, this is how you determine that. Rewrite with an of or for phrase. So the rewrite with the of phrase is car of the Reynolds. Yes. Or you might be able to say, this is more likely. Maybe after you rewrite both of them, you could say which one is more likely if you're unsure. So this, car of the Reynolds is probably the meaning, and this is a definite possible meaning. So for, let's rewrite for, car for the Reynolds. I know I'm only using a phrase, and the word, this phrase is not used in a context. So there's some limitations with the examples. But probably car for the Reynolds is probably not, I say no here, but it's probably not the intended meaning. The meaning, if you probably read this in a sentence, would be, it's the car of the Reynolds. So my conclusion is it's a possessive, therefore you would put the apostrophe. Let's look at two more examples of this. You had the example, you just, is it the New Leader's Guide without an apostrophe or the New Leader's Guide with an apostrophe? Once I know it's not in a sentence, but just imagine it in a sentence. Which do you think it is? Is it an apostrophe or no apostrophe? Meaning, no apostrophe means it's actually a descriptive. This is effectively an adjective describing a noun, or is it a possessive? Rewriting with of, a guide. Is it a guide of new leaders? That is possible. You could have a guide that shows all the new leaders. Or if you rewrite it with of, it's like the guide for new leaders. The New Leaders Guide is probably a guide for new leaders. This is probably most likely or more likely. This is possible, but this is more likely. Therefore, and really the context would determine this. And like I said, I didn't write this in a context, even within inside a sentence or even a few sentences would totally make it which one was really meant of or for. So actually both are possible. If someone was actually talking about a guide that actually just had all the new leaders in it, it would actually be an apostrophe. I mean, I'm going to say it's a descriptive because more likely I think it'd probably be a guide for the new leader. So I'm going to say this is probably a descriptive, therefore no apostrophe. My last and final example, is it the girls softball team without an apostrophe, or is it the girls softball team with an apostrophe? Once again, I know this is out of context, but we're just going to do our best. This phrase does not occur within inside the context of a sentence or paragraph, so we're going to do our best. Rewrite with of is the softball team of girls. I'd say this is definitely likely, maybe most likely. And rewriting with for is the softball team for girls. Possible, but probably if I read this, the meaning is probably the softball team of girls. Therefore, it's an apostrophe. It's possessive. Most likely, if this was written in a context, it'd be a possessive. So it would be girls with an apostrophe. So that's it for this video. If you want to get notifications for this series, please click subscribe. If you like the video or think others will find it useful, please click like. And check out links to books and videos in the description. Thank you.